All right, welcome everyone. I think you can all hear me now. Again, like I was mentioning last stream, if there is a little bit of a delay, don't worry. I'll usually make that post saying that we're about to start. It takes a little bit for the software to kick in on my side, and then a little bit for YouTube software to kick in on their side, and then we just have to wait like 5-10 seconds for an ad to play, and then I can skip it real quick. So we just skipped a hair club for men ad right now, so hopefully I can be heard. Hopefully everyone can get in right now. It's always nice if I can get a yes, I can be heard in chat, just to make sure that I'm not talking to myself and we actually are beginning the stream. It's always appreciated. And thank you everyone for joining us today. I think we got a fairly interesting topic to discuss. The best and worst foods, or the best and worst foods for arthritis. Maybe even best foods and foods to avoid for arthritis. And that can be for acute arthritis symptoms, so in the short term, and for chronic long term, prevention of arthritis. The reason why I wanted to talk about arthritis today, just like heart health, arthritis is greatly affecting our population today. I think with heart disease, it was like 1/3 of the population will be affected in some sort of way connected to heart disease, whether it be stroke, heart attack, high blood pressure, things like that. It's fairly similar to arthritis type symptoms. All right, remember there's different types of arthritis, like rheumatoid arthritis, arthritis, things of that nature. And remember, thank you, Jackson Johnson, love the name. JJ coming in here, letting me know that I can be heard. Thank you so much, Jackson. I do appreciate it. And thank you for the thumbs up, guys. But just as I was saying, similar to heart disease, we can say the exact same thing for arthritis. All right. Now, you might not be, told that you have arthritis, but a lot of the times we're going to be feeling the symptoms of arthritis: inflammation, joint pain, stiffness, swelling. There's all types of symptoms and complications when it comes to arthritis. So those are the things we want to prevent. That's the chronic type of arthritis symptoms that we're going to want to prevent. So there's things that we can be doing on a day-to-day basis, a week-by-week basis, that can help prevent that long-term arthritis. Because a lot of the times, arthritis symptoms can show up as we get older, all right, into our 60s, into our 70s. All right, sometimes it's genetic. Let's be honest. Sometimes it is genetic, but there are still things that we can do. There are foods that we can consume that can help prevent those symptoms from happening. Patricia, greetings. I can hear you loud and clear. Thank you, Patricia. No problem. My pleasure for this live chat. Like I said, my pleasure, and thank you for joining us today. I really appreciate it. So that's why I really wanted to talk about arthritis today, guys. It affects so many people. I'm sure there's some people in chat that might be dealing with arthritis or arthritis symptoms. You'll hear me say that from time to time, because a lot of the times, people might not be diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis or any other of the types, but they have arthritis-like symptoms. All right, so a lot of the times, even in my family, all right, there's people who are dealing with it, and I'm trying to help them with it based on food, based on movement. Remember, that's what we call exercise. We don't call it intense exercise. All right. It's movement. Now we're going to lose the nice picture. It looks like 3 minutes in. We haven't had good luck with this. All right, so we're going to get the no signal picture coming up, but that's okay. Throw a nice picture up there. Maybe throw some herbs or something up there today. Last time people were throwing up fruits. Today, let's throw up some nice herbs. That's what I'm going to put up here right now. So I'm going to look at some nice herbs, some coriander. There we go. It's up. So I apologize for that, guys. I think I know what might be causing it, and I think for next time I'm going to make sure that I make the change. But again, podcast form. We're in podcast form right now. As long as I can get this information out to you, and as long as it can be heard, it's not like my face is on right now. You guys can just throw up that nice picture, and we can continue the discussion. So let's go ahead and do that. Hi, Carol. Thank you so much for coming in. Very excited to listen to you. Well, I'm very excited to have a chat with you, Carol. Thank you so much for coming in. Yes, many of us are over 60. Yeah, and that's the thing, a lot of people, and even it's getting younger and younger, people are dealing with arthritis symptoms, just like it's the same for heart health. A lot of people are dealing with a lot of risk factors for heart disease at a very, very young age. It's not uncommon anymore, guys, for people to be on certain blood thinners or even blood pressure medications in their late 20s. I mean, how unbelievable is that? It's the exact same with arthritis. People are getting arthritis symptoms. I've dealt with clients who've had stiffness and swelling, and the swelling is just, you hate to see it, guys. You hate to see it. It's very, very painful. You have that joint pain. It affects your day-to-day life and the quality of your life. So that's why I really wanted to make sure that we got into this discussion today on arthritis. So let's talk a little bit about, I'm wondering where you guys want to start. Do you want to start with best or the worst? Because I have my preference. I think we should start with the worst foods, the foods that we want to avoid. You guys might know some of them, but there's probably going to be a few that you might not know of. Ones that I've sort of read some interesting studies on, because I've certainly done a few videos on arthritis, and I certainly worked with quite a few clients who are dealing with arthritis. So this is a big topic for me. But I think maybe we'll start with the worst foods to avoid for arthritis. And thank you so much, guys. I always love seeing the thumbs up right at the very beginning. It's like we've been going for 5 minutes and we already have 5 thumbs up. Remember, we're trying to get to that 30. The 30 mark is our benchmark. And you guys are doing a great job. We're 5 minutes in, you're already at 5. Thank you so much. So let's get right into one of the foods. A lot of them can be, I would call them common sense type foods. But one of them that, kind of popped out to me that isn't quite as common sense are nightshade type foods. So like bell peppers, things like that. Those can sort of exacerbate arthritis type symptoms. So if you are dealing with arthritis, try to avoid, or at least keep them in moderation or limit them to the best of your ability. Nightshades. Okay, guys, that's one that you won't find on very many lists. You'll find things like I'm going to talk about sugar, I'm going to talk about alcohol, all that different stuff. That's going to exacerbate the symptoms of arthritis. But one of the ones I wanted to point out right from the very beginning, which I can't find on very many lists, and I've checked a bunch, especially with doing research over the years, nightshades. I don't know if you guys experienced that, if you've been dealing with arthritis type symptoms, but things like your peppers, those types of foods. Okay, so nightshades is one of them. It can be green peppers, bell peppers, things like that. Those are the type of foods that we're going to want to avoid if we're dealing with arthritis. Now let's get into a couple of the other ones. I also would just like to point out, just because some people did message me, all right, and I really appreciate this, and we're just going to bring it up right now, right off the bat. You guys are doing a great job. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for the thumbs up. If you enjoy the videos, if you enjoy our live chats, the best way to support the channel is through the super chat option. So again, no membership needed to get into these. A lot of channels will have you have to join. I think it's like a $5 or $6 fee to join live streams, and they put on membership. That'll never happen here. It'll be open to everyone. It's an open form, and there'll never be a P.O. box, all right, where people are sending me stuff and things like that. I will never do that. All right, so there'll never be an option where you have to join. There'll never be an option where you have to send me anything. I can't even imagine doing that. But the super chat option is the best way to support the channel. Deborah has been a big supporter, and I got a couple other messages about that. So I just wanted to make that clear right off the bat, guys. We'll leave it there. Thank you so much for the thumbs up. And again, super chats is the only way. So thank you. So let's start off with the worst foods for arthritis. What are we going to want to avoid? All right, there's a couple things that we're definitely going to want to avoid. I mentioned one already, and that's added sugars, all right, especially your simple sugars. Now, some people can have it exacerbated by natural sugar, even fruit. Again, sorry if I take a little sip of coffee here. Some people can even have arthritis type symptoms through eating fructose. Because remember, even through our discussion, all right, with fruit, It has both fructose and glucose, both monosaccharide types of sugar. Your fructose is your fruit sugar, glucose is your natural sugar. But remember, both of them combined create a disaccharide, create sucralose. All right, so that can cause sort of exacerbation of arthritis type symptoms. So just be careful with fruit. If you're finding that you're eating things like mango, pineapples, and it's creating more inflammation, it's creating more pain, more swelling, all right? A lot of the times with arthritis, you're going to find the pain, swelling, things of that nature in your hands, all right, in the extremities, all right? So our fingers, that type of stuff. So be careful with overdoing it on fruit, but the big one, all right, is processed sugar. All right, keep your fruit in moderation. All right, just make sure you keep an eye on it. But the big one is added sugar. All right, so added sugar being your processed sugar, white sugar, donuts, cookies, things like that. All right, table sugar. Some people might add that to their coffee. We need to be careful and limit. So these are the worst foods, the foods to stay away from if we are dealing with arthritis. All right, especially if you have I found an interesting study, especially if you have rheumatoid or dealing with rheumatoid arthritis symptoms. All right, we know that, and we see this through the studies, that when we're adding sort of sugar in a number of ways, it doesn't really matter. The study did soft drinks, so soda. We already know that there's tons of sugar in that, but it does not matter. All right, you could supplement soda in there for donuts or cookies or adding sugar to your coffee. All right, the important thing is the added sugar, all right, the processed sugar. All right, and what that study found was a worsening of the rheumatoid arthritis in a significant portion of the people in the study. And there was hundreds of people in this study, so it was a nice sample size, which is good. All right, I always love the ones that are very high sample size. The better the N factor is, the better the study, always in my opinion. So we know that added sugar is going to increase rheumatoid arthritis symptoms, but also arthritis symptoms. A lot of them are the same: swelling, pain, stiffness, especially. That's a big one. Okay, now there's also another one where people who were, and we already brought this up, all right, and this is why I said make sure that if you are eating fruit, all right, you're sticking to high fiber fruit, because we already know white sugar, processed sugar, not good for arthritis. It's only going to make it worse and worse and worse, all right, especially as we get older, even acute arthritis symptoms, all right? So if you have sugar the next day, you might feel a little bit more pain, more swelling, more stiffness, a lot of swelling the next day, especially with processed sugar in our acute form. But what they did, in an interesting study that had well over 1,000 people, and they were young. So again, remember how I told you guys, arthritis isn't just something that's going to be affecting people who are in their 60s, who are in their 70s, who are in their 50s. All right, they took a study that had over 1,000 people in it. All right, a great N factor. All right, and they gave them fructose sweetened beverages. So think of it, when I'm talking about fructose sweetened, all right, think of it like your like apple juice, orange juice. So like fruit juices. So those people, if they were drinking it even a couple of times a week, all right, like 3 times or 4 or 5 times a week, they were 3 times more likelier to develop arthritis, all right, in a later stage in their life. So into the 50s, 60s, 70s. All right, so even you got to be careful, even if it's fructose sweetened, all right, it's still sugar at the end of the day, especially fruit juices or canned fruits. So you want to make sure that you're very careful with that. All right, and again, another large study this is the best thing. This is why I love the arthritis topic, because there's so many good studies on it. All right, in a study that used over I think it was over 200,000 people, taking in sugar, guys, all right, increased significantly the chances of arthritis later on. All right, and in rheumatoid arthritis as well. It was looking specifically at both arthritis and rheumatoid arthritis. Regular intake. So regular intake doesn't even mean every single day. It could be like every other day or 3 times a week. If you're taking in extra sugars, you are increasing your chance of arthritis symptoms, arthritis risk factors, even developing arthritis down the road. I never like to say, all right, if you drink sugar, you're going to get arthritis. Sometimes it doesn't always work like that. Just like it doesn't always work like, if you're obese, you're going to get heart disease or have a heart attack or something like that. Sometimes it just doesn't happen. But what we do know for sure is that if you're taking in a lot of added sugar, especially on a regular basis, then you're going to increase the risk factors for developing arthritis and rheumatoid arthritis. You're going to start to see possibly swelling, stiffness, joint pain, all of those different symptoms, and even a chance of arthritis right off the bat. All right, so added sugar, that's one you're going to want to watch out for. B1, thank you so much for coming in. Tin food, no good. So maybe canned food, is that what you're talking about, B1? So kind of like what I was just saying. Thank you guys so much for the thumbs up. I really appreciate it. Canned foods, like you'll find canned pears and everything like that. Canned apples, they're all sweetened. It's just literally preservatives and sugar that are added to it. Mac, thank you so much for coming in. How you doing? As always, a regular in here. Thank you so much for joining us. And thank you everyone else for joining. I'm seeing our numbers going up and up. I'm so happy that you guys are enjoying the arthritis discussion. So first one that we want to avoid, one of the worst foods for arthritis, processed sugar. And under that umbrella could be any types of sugary foods, donuts, cookies, sweets, things of that nature. I'm not a big sweet guy. But if you're someone who's really into sugar and that type of stuff, I've had a few clients who add a ton of sugar to their coffee and everything and that sort of thing. You might as well be drinking a soda. All right, they're adding spoonfuls of sugar to their coffee. Again, that coffee, it's a large coffee. You might as well be drinking a soda. It has just as much or almost as much sugar as a soda would. I'm doing very good, Mac. I'm really enjoying this topic here today. Thank you so much for asking. So let's go on to our next one. We spent quite a bit of time on sugars. So what else do we want to make sure, all right, that we're staying away from? Alcohol is another one that we want to be at least keeping in moderation, guys. All right, alcohol is going to exacerbate, especially if you're a little bit older and especially if you're already dealing with symptoms of arthritis. So again, with arthritis, a lack of mobility, so stiffness. And usually, again, let's talk a little bit about the hands, fingers, things like that. That's where we're seeing arthritis-type symptoms most prone to show up. All right, if you're dealing with that already and you're drinking alcohol, you are just making it so much worse for yourself. All right, so make sure that you're keeping alcohol. Try to stay away from it, but if you are drinking, drink it in moderation. It's the same thing for people who have like eczema and dry skin and things like that. If they drink alcohol once, then the next day, they'll see a big difference in just the quality and look of their skin. All right, so alcohol. Why is alcohol so bad? Well, when we drink alcohol, we are literally just worsening. There's no benefit to it when it comes to arthritis. There's absolutely no benefit. All right, all you're doing is worsening arthritis symptoms. All right, so arthritis is an inflammatory type disease. Alcohol is creating more inflammation within the body. So that's why we need to restrict big time or avoid it altogether if you're dealing with arthritis-like symptoms. One of the big ones, even that we see in alcohol, is an increase, not only in frequency, but also the severity of arthritis-like symptoms. So you're not only making it worse, but you're making it worse. It's like a doubling effect. So you're making it, all right, like 2 times as worse or much worse, let's say, just by creating that, because you're creating so much inflammation. Remember, inflammatory arthritis, you're creating inflammation through that alcohol. All right. It really has no no benefits whatsoever to you. So one of the worst foods or worst things for you to take in, all right, is alcohol. Plus, we've seen tons of studies where people who are drinking alcohol, and you do have joint-related issues, arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, even increasing gout attacks, all right? People prefer brown sugar nowadays. Is that okay? Brown sugar would fall under the same as sugar, Mac. That's a good question. All right, so brown sugar still, your sweetened sugar and everything of that nature, it would still have a very similar effect to processed sugar. But excellent question, because a lot of people are switching to brown sugar, but at the end of the day, it's still going to create that inflammation within the body. So excellent question. Now, the next one that we're going to want to stay away from, guys, we already talked about nightshades. We talked a little bit about alcohol. We talked about sugars. Another one that we want to make sure that we're staying away from, all right, is foods high in sodium. All right, foods high in sodium are some of the worst for arthritis. Damage to your liver. For alcohol, for sure, B1, because that's where it's processed. So fatty liver disease, all right, can be increased big time through alcohol. If you're having it in moderation, all right, make sure it's very seldom or you're staying away from it all. But arthritis, one of the worst things that you can have, because it's just creating more and more inflammation within the body. Now, another one, like I just mentioned, was sodium. All right, so cutting back on salt. If you're dealing with arthritis or you want to limit the risk factors for developing arthritis, you need to cut back on foods that are high on salt. One of the worst things and things that I see all the time is I have clients who have arthritis symptoms. I'm not 100% sure if they've actually been diagnosed with arthritis, but they do have arthritis-like symptoms. They'll be eating things like canned foods, processed meats, and the number one thing, chips. All right. Chips are super high in sodium, and no one eats half a bag of chips or like a bowl of chips. All right, no one has that type of stuff. All right, it's like more than half the bag or a whole bag. So you're getting like your daily dose, even 2 days worth of sodium just by the chips. All right, that doesn't even include any of the other foods that you're eating. If it's canned foods throughout the day, anything like that. All right. So we know that salt intake is going to be one of the worst things that you can eat for arthritis. All right, and remember, we mentioned the nightshades. That's the one too. All right, so like your peppers and things like that. I even believe eggplant might be a little bit rough for arthritis. Stevia, Angie, great question. Stevia is fine. That's a natural sweetener. So that's a good choice. All right, I would go with stevia as opposed to the other types of sugars. So a natural type sweetener, stevia. From any study that I've read, stevia is just fine. So great point, Angie. Thank you for bringing that up. You can add stevia to coffee. You can add it to whatever you like. Keep it in moderation as well, because there are some studies that show out there that it can have the potential to raise even blood glucose levels. You have to eat a lot of it, so just keep it in moderation and you should be fine. And we're at 11 thumbs up. Thank you so much, guys. We just haven't seen since 5, so we doubled and we're crossing over that 10. Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate it. Let's see if we can keep shooting for that 30. So make sure that you're limiting the intake of foods that are high in salt. And again, this is going to come back to our fast foods, all right? Because if you're eating fast foods like pizza, burgers, you guys know any fast foods. Any fast foods are going to be high in salt. It's just what they're made of. That's why they taste the way they do. And plus, it's going to help make them last a little bit longer. All right, so there's been some interesting studies on salt intake and arthritis. So not only is high sodium intake, and remember, high sodium intake doesn't mean that you're eating like a double. It can just mean that you're eating a little bit over what's suggested per day. All right, that's high sodium intake. So anything that's over the suggested sodium intake per day, that's going to be high, and that's what the studies show. All right. It's a risk factor for autoimmune diseases. All right, and guess what one of the autoimmune diseases is? Inflammatory arthritis. All right, and a huge increase. Again, that's why I love it, because arthritis, one of the most studied chronic diseases, this study had almost 20,000 people. We saw a connection between high sodium intake and increased risk of arthritis and rheumatoid arthritis. All right, and significant increase, especially if you're having high sodium diet quite commonly. So I would say more than 4 times a week, 4 or more. All right. So you got to make sure that you're limiting your salt intake, guys. With the salt, again, it can lead to cartilage breakdown, bone mineral density loss, so even with osteoporosis and everything like that. All right, and also revealed that it increased the severity of rheumatoid arthritis. So again, if you're dealing with symptoms of arthritis and everything like that, then when you eat salt, just like with the sugar, you're going to wake up the next day, all right, having those symptoms even worse than they were before, all right, which we definitely do not want. So not only is it going to be bad chronically, but it's also going to be bad acutely. The next day, you're going to see a big difference, all right, and especially if you're having sugar and salt, all right, probably the hands are going to be feeling pretty bad the next day, or wherever you're getting, knees, things of that nature. But a lot of the times you'll find arthritis symptoms in the hands. With gout, a lot of the times it's in our feet. It's usually in like the big toe, things of that nature. Uric acid buildup. Wow, 13 thumbs up. Thank you so much, guys. Just stick to natural food. Ooh, okay, we're getting there, B. Patricia, thank you for the thumbs up. Himalayan salt, yes, Angie, in moderation. In moderation. So pink Himalayan salt, I believe you're speaking about, in moderation. There's a lot of minerals, all right, more minerals than like other salts and things like that. Just make sure it has to be in moderation. And again, if you're just adding like a sprinkling, right, a lot of times you get like the twist tops, and then you can kind of sprinkle some onto your food. Much different than if we're talking about fast food and pizza and things like that. If you're just sprinkling a little bit on top of a recipe or something like that, you should be fine. Just again, keep it in moderation. All right, and you're getting those, at least you're getting a few minerals and stuff like that through that Himalayan salt. All right, now another thing, all right, let's talk about people who are, sometimes I don't like bringing this one up because there's a lot of people who aren't gluten sensitive. But if you do have a gluten sensitivity and even a dairy sensitivity, but more so the studies show gluten. All right, if you have a gluten sensitivity, so anything from like breads, things of that nature, it can be very, very bad, obviously, for arthritis type symptoms. So even those who don't have a sensitivity, we see that gluten can, if you are already dealing with and experience arthritis type symptoms, foods that are high in gluten can help. I don't know if I'd use help, but it can exacerbate arthritis symptoms, and there's numerous studies on that. All right, so foods like wheat, like whole wheat bread and things like that, whole wheat pastas, that type of stuff. But even interesting type of grains and foods like a barley, rye, things of that. I'm trying to remember some off the top of my head. All right, some of the research showed increased inflammation. All right, that's why I said sensitivity, because especially if you have a gluten sensitivity, inflammation is going to go through the roof. You can't even stand to eat gluten. But even if you don't have a sensitivity to it, a lot of the times, gluten can have the possibility or the potential to increase inflammation through the body. So once we get that inflammation, it has, again, the potential to make arthritis symptoms worse. So just be careful with gluten. I would say just keep it in moderation. You don't need to be 100% scared of whole wheat bread and everything like that. It's more the people with the sensitivities to it. You'd have to be eating a lot of like whole wheat bread, a lot of whole wheat pasta, barley, rye, all that different stuff, all right, to see a really significant increase or a higher percent chance of increasing your risk of autoimmune diseases like rheumatoid arthritis or things like that. So just keep that in mind. Gluten, foods that are high in gluten. Now let's give you one more. All right, one more, because this is one that people are going to eat a lot. Let me just catch up on the comments here. Cow cheese also has a lot of salt. Absolutely. Sprinchy. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Sprinchy. Excellent comment. Yeah, like cow cheese, like the dairy, like I was talking about, very high in sodium. All right, so I know it tastes great, and it's unfortunate because a lot of people are enjoying. And wow, we just jumped up to 15 likes, guys. We are halfway there already, under 30 minutes. Man, you guys are killing it. Thank you so much. I appreciate you all. But cow cheese, absolutely. Not only is it high in sodium, and again, you don't have to eat a lot of cow cheese to get a bunch of, or cheese, let's just say cheese. All right, you don't have to have a lot of cheese to get a fairly large amount of salt, of sodium. And like you mentioned, fat. Yes, it does contain fat, but the worst part about it is mostly saturated fat. All right, so that's where it's going to come through that highly processed type foods, almost like your fast foods and things like that. So Sprinchy, excellent point. Cheese can be one of the issues with inflammation and things like that. High in salt, high in saturated fat and trans fat. So we got to make sure that we're keeping that in moderation. I know it's tough because cheese is quite enjoyable, but so a lot of the foods, if we're dealing with these symptoms, these are some of the things that we have to at least keep in moderation. Salt comes right through in our sweat. Yes, it does. But a lot of times, unless we're working out quite often, a lot of times it does get processed through the kidneys and the liver. And then once that happens, our damage is already done. Now, last one here, I want you guys to be careful with this because a lot of people will cook with these types of foods. A lot of people eat these types of foods. All right, we have to be careful with certain vegetable oils. All right, so we got to make sure that, what we're cooking with, like oils and things like that, like canola oil, keep that in moderation. All right, they found, actually, if you're dealing with symptoms of rheumatoid arthritis and arthritis, one of the worst things for you, and I know I always preach how important omega-3 fatty acids are, but sometimes, even healthy foods or healthy fats can have a negative effect on you if we're dealing with some sort of chronic disease. All right, and let me tell you, I've been kind of singing the praise of omega-3 fatty acids. Omega-3 fatty acids are one of the best foods that you can have if you're dealing with arthritis. So if you are having certain vegetable oils that are low in omega-3s, those are the ones we want to stay away from. So again, that's going to be your canola oil. Even olive oil to a certain extent. We just got to be careful with it. Now, olive oil is a nice one because it has good antioxidants, so it is going to get rid of some of the inflammation. But omega-3s, we know, and omega-6 fatty acids, all right, if we're low in those, it's going to worsen the symptoms of arthritis. And there's numerous studies that show that. And even in a lot of diets today, people are very low in omega-3s. Unless they're supplementing with it, or eating like salmon on a regular basis, sardines, walnuts are a good one, flax seeds are a good one. Unless you're eating those regularly, I wouldn't recommend eating fatty fish every single day. You can get it through walnuts, flax seeds. That's just fine. It has a nice balance or ratio of omega-6s to omega-3s. Unless you're eating those types of foods, that's why we're always low in omega-3 fatty acids. So we don't want a diet that's low in omega-6s and especially low in omega-3s because it's going to make arthritis symptoms even worse. We want those omega-3s. All right, so we want those foods. And a lot of vegetable oils, those are the ones that we're talking about. Vegetable oils we want to stay away from, all right? Because, you don't get a ton of omega-3s in certain vegetable oils, and they can actually reduce your intake. All right, so the absorption rate of omega-6s, And usually they don't have any omega-6s at all. But if they do, it's going to decrease the absorption rate of those omega-6 fatty acids, which are great for arthritis. Cod liver oil is a good one, Suzanne. Excellent question. Cod liver oil has been around forever. It was kind of like the go-to back in the day. So, it does have fairly good amounts of omega-3s. Is it the highest? Probably not. I would go with like the fatty fish and all of that type of stuff that I was mentioning. But it's just going to be a little bit lower in omega-3 fatty acids. All right. But the nice thing with cod liver oil is it does contain that nice EPA and DHA, which is found in fish oil. When fish oil is very high in omega-3 fatty acids. So that's a great question, Suzanne. So cod liver oil, I would say yes. All right, you can have that. And again, keep it in moderation just so we're not getting crazy with calories or anything like that. But much better than vegetable oils. So like your cod liver oil, that's a nice one. All right, can keep that in there. So good question, Suzanne. Thank you for bringing that up. So I think we've covered pretty much all of some of the foods that we want to avoid. Remember, there's a big umbrella. Like when we say nightshades, there's tons of nightshade type foods out there. When we say processed sugars, foods high in sodium, vegetable oils, highly processed foods, alcohol, things like that. There's gluten, foods high in gluten. All right, there's a lot of foods that fall underneath those categories. Like even for high gluten foods, we mentioned like whole wheat, we mentioned barley, rye. There's other ones out there. All right, sugar, you guys know all the different types of sugars. It's not just table sugar, all right, but also donuts, cookies, all of that different type of stuff. All right, we want to stay away from that as much as we can. And then your highly processed foods, always stay away from those. All right, but those types of foods are only going to exacerbate and make arthritis symptoms even worse. Now, if there's no other questions, why don't we continue to some of the best foods that we can eat for arthritis? We spent a good time focusing on some of the worst, all right, and like I said, some of them are common sense, but sometimes, we need a little reminder. Why are these foods bad for us? All right, we already know that maybe high sodium can have, a bunch of negative effects, but how does high sodium foods affect arthritis in general? And now that we know these inflammation increasing foods, these autoimmune disease increasing foods, all right, which can, significantly raise the chances of developing rheumatoid arthritis or arthritis down the road. That's why we want to stay away from them. So let's talk about some best foods for arthritis. So what are some of the ones that we want to eat? Now, we already mentioned, I'll start with this one because we already sort of mentioned it, all right, when we were talking about worst. Let's just go over it quickly. All right, so one of the best ones, all right, would be your fatty fish. So fish varieties, like we mentioned salmon, we mentioned sardines. I always throw mackerel in there as well. Some people will throw a couple of the other ones. Like fish oil can come from numerous sources of fish, but those are the three that I generally will recommend just because they're the highest in omega-3 fatty acids. All right, and we already know if we want to reduce the symptoms of arthritis or reduce the risk factors of developing arthritis, we want the omega-3 fatty acids because they've been shown in numerous studies to lower inflammation. They have very potent anti-inflammatory effects. All right. And again, you don't have to eat salmon every single day. A lot of people, what they will do is they'll eat salmon a couple times a week, and then maybe they'll have a fish oil supplement or something along those lines. So again, I wouldn't even recommend eating salmon every day, just because some of the metals that you can sort of find in it and things like that. But we know salmon's great for us. Have your fish oil. All right, you can take your supplement, things like that. Again, if you're not a big meat eater, all right, or you don't want fish oil, you're not a big fan of fish oil, flax seeds and walnuts, very high in omega-3 fatty acids. All right, those are great sources. Nuts and seeds, so it works almost in any diet. Doesn't matter if you're vegan, vegetarian, you can still get omega-3s that way as well. So I think that's a great option. Red snapper is okay. Haven't read too much on red snapper, to be honest with you. So red snapper, let me maybe I'll take a look. I want to see how much is in it. So yeah, red snapper, not too bad. All right, it's kind of up there with haddock, which I wouldn't say has the most, but it definitely is not a bad choice. I would stick to mackerel, salmon, sardines, things of that nature. Because if we're talking about let's look at 3.5 ounces of fish. So let's kind of deep dive into this. All right, we'll deep dive into this. All right, if you're eating about 3.5 ounces of fish, then you're getting in mackerel, you're getting about 2.5 grams of omega-3 fatty acids. In salmon, 1.5 to 2. In sardines, 1.5 to 2. All right, when it comes to red snapper, all right, you're getting 0.2. All right, so quite a bit lower than, say, like your mackerel. That's why I always say that one. Salmon, that's why I always say that one. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Does it have omega-3 in it? Yes, it does. Just not to the extent that the other ones do. How do I know if I have arthritis? All right, Angie, good question. Very nice. So with arthritis, you're going to want to talk to your medical practitioner, but some of the symptoms are kind of a giveaway. So what are some of the symptoms of arthritis? And again, you'll want to talk to your medical practitioner, right? Because I just can't diagnose anyone with arthritis, obviously, through the live chat. But, a lot of the symptoms are swelling in the joints, stiffness in our joints, usually in the fingers. Think of it like that. Pain, B just said one, pain in the joints, things like that. So picking things up, holding on to things of that nature. Inflammation. Those are sort of your big ones. All right, swelling is usually a dead giveaway. Pain, usually a dead giveaway. And just stiffness, just the lack of being able to hold things. And trust me, if you have arthritis, you would know, Angie, because the pain, very, very, very strong. All right, and the swelling as well, within like your joints of the fingers, you would see some significant swelling in there as well. Oh, you're very welcome, Sprinchy. It was kind of interesting you brought that up because I was able to kind of look into it a little bit there. So, you just red snapper, yes, it does have it, but just remember those other options, kind of the ones that I mentioned: mackerel, salmon, sardines. Just have quite a bit more, almost like 10 to 20 to 25%, or times. Sorry, not even percent, just 20 times more omega-3 fatty acids. So that does make a difference. All right, and I see we're at 17 thumbs up, guys. Awesome. Thank you so much. Let's see if we can keep it rolling. We're getting past that 15. We're well on our way to 30. You guys are killing it. Thank you so much. So again, why do we want to have these fatty fish? All right, so these fatty fish, when we're eating them, let's say 3 to 4 times a week. And again, you can use a fish oil supplement too. All right, it doesn't really matter. But if you're getting it in at least 4 times a week, they have specific compounds that are going to be related to inflammation, and even better, in a decrease of inflammation. All right, so when people were taking an omega-3 fatty acid supplement, they found, and here's the best part, all right, they found a decrease, and here's some of the symptoms, Angie, all right, for you. All right, in a number of studies, they found a decrease in joint pain. All right, a decrease in stiffness, especially like in the fingers. All right, and especially in the morning, because people will wake up with stiffness in the fingers and everything like that. So a decrease in pain, a decrease in stiffness, and a minor decrease in swelling. All right, so some of the ones that we already just talked about. All right, we saw a decrease in that when we added omega-3 fatty acids to our diet, and that was that study was through a supplement, but it wouldn't matter. All right, it does not matter at all as long as you're adding omega-3 fatty acids into the diet. Then you're going to be getting those benefits as well. Now, the nice thing is, usually when you are taking a fish oil supplement or you are eating salmon and mackerel and things of that nature, you're going to get a little bit of vitamin D also. All right. So maybe what you might want to do is take a little bit of a vitamin D supplement, because that can help decrease the risk of arthritis, and especially rheumatoid arthritis as well, and their symptoms, the one that we just mentioned. All right, but fatty fish has a little bit of that vitamin D in it. So again, only decreasing inflammation. All right, so we love fatty fish because it's going to have beneficial anti-inflammatory properties, which is great for reducing total inflammation and reducing symptoms of arthritis. So fatty fish, we kind of gave that one away before. Now, another one that is great. All right, maybe we already gave this one away. All right, walnuts. Again, because of the omega-3 fatty acids, but also because it's very nutrient dense. All right, so loaded with micronutrients that are going to help increase joint health, which is awesome. All right, we saw studies out there that show low micronutrient intake can help actually exacerbate joint disease, so arthritis, basically, and micronutrients are going to reduce inflammation. So walnuts are great for that. They're great for omega-3 fatty acids, again, which have been shown in numerous studies to decrease symptoms of arthritis, all right, and rheumatoid arthritis and all of that other good stuff. So walnuts are a good one too. So we already have two of them up there. All right, now here's a nice one. All right, the king, and this is my personal king of dark leafy green vegetables. All right, again, we separate it, and this is why I separate it from kale, from spinach, other great dark leafy green vegetables. I'm not saying don't eat these, all right, but a lot of times people will combine them under one umbrella. All right, but you guys have seen week in and week out how broccoli is giving us these benefits that kale and spinach and, even romaine lettuce, cabbage, all the dark leafy green vegetables aren't giving us. That's why I put broccoli on the throne as probably the best dark leafy green vegetable. And to be honest with you, I just had probably a little bit more than a cup of raw broccoli before I came out here. So I put my broccoli where my mouth is. All right, my money where my mouth is when it comes to broccoli. It is literally my favorite dark leafy green vegetable. I love it, and it just has so many health promoting benefits. Yeah, and you guys probably already know that. But let's talk about its benefits for arthritis, all right, because it cannot be understated. And I love the engagement, guys. Keep the engagement up in chat. Right as I say that, Angie comes in here with a nice comment. Thank you. I'm buying walnuts and salmon today. Okay, great. Yeah, just try it out. I like the nice mix of walnuts and salmon. I think that's great. That way you don't have to eat salmon every single day. And again, I wouldn't recommend eating salmon or like tuna every single day. But walnuts aren't necessarily bad to have every day. I'll be honest, I had walnuts this morning. Again, the foods that I offer to you guys are sort of the foods that I tend to eat as well. When I eat the walnuts, I'm not thinking totally about arthritis or anything like that. But I do know that they're healthy. I know that they're a good source of omega-3 fatty acids, and I just know that they're a healthy fat source. This is why I say so much, guys. If you are eating healthy foods and a healthy diet, you are lowering the risk of chronic disease, all right, and certain chronic diseases. So heart disease in this topic today, arthritis, All right, diabetes, things like that. That's why diet is so important, and that's why I do this channel and I do these live streams. So that's great, Angie. And the other good thing too, Angie, is yes, we're talking about walnuts and we're talking about salmon and their benefits for arthritis, but they have a whole bunch of other benefits too. I could talk all day about the benefits of walnuts. I said this before. It's like a mix of almonds and walnuts. If I had to suggest one type of nut to someone, it's a toss-up between almonds and walnuts. I think those are two of the best. Brazil nuts are up there. Again, you don't need a lot of Brazil nuts. I'd have like 1 to 3 max a day. Just because of the amount of selenium that's in them, the amount of nutrients. You don't want to be overdoing it, but walnuts, super healthy. If you're going to eat almonds, guys, just a little pointer for you guys, make sure you're keeping the skin on. So the dark brown skin that's on walnuts, there is a tremendous amount of antioxidants and potent antioxidants that are in that skin. All right, so if you're eating blanched almonds, you lose a lot of the health benefits that are coming from almonds. All right, now that I kind of went on that rant, I told you guys I can rant a little bit. That's why I like the engagement, so I don't always just have to rant, and I can answer your guys' questions as well. But that's awesome, Angie. So another one, broccoli. Let's get back to broccoli. So probably my favorite cruciferous vegetable, my favorite dark leafy green vegetable. All right, we found, or the person who did the study found, I found from reading the study. All right, and again, arthritis, when it comes to arthritis, there's so many people who deal with it. You can get studies with what's called a huge N factor. So basically it just means the amount of people who are taking part in the studies. Once you get into like really specific studies, like you'll have like an N factor of like 20, an N factor of 16. Sometimes I've seen them as 8. So there's only 8 people in the study. This study actually had over 1,000 people. The other one that I mentioned before had 200,000 people. That's crazy. So the more people, I always think the better. But what we found from broccoli was a decreased inflammation, tremendous inflammation decreaser. All right. Now, also one of the best things, and again, we want to decrease inflammation because that's one of the main symptoms, or at least something that can exacerbate the symptoms of arthritis, like swelling, like pain, stiffness, things like that. Yeah, Brazil nuts are pricey, but the nice thing about Brazil nuts, Angie, is that you only have to have like 1, 2, 3 a day, and you don't even need them every day. If you're having like 3, for me, I eat Brazil nuts maybe once every 2 days. So they definitely are pricey. 100% agree with you. But at least the thing with them is, at least we don't have to eat a ton of them at a time. But 100%, they're one of the most pricey nuts. Definitely. And wow, we're at 19 thumbs up, guys. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. You guys don't know how much I appreciate it there. So thank you. But another nice thing, there's these potent compounds in broccoli, specifically to broccoli, all right, that can reduce symptoms of arthritis. And that can not only reduce, so that, again, that's an acute benefit, all right, but also a chronic benefit. So for eating broccoli over time, all right, it's going to help reduce the chance and risk factors of developing arthritis. So what are some of the compounds? Well, one of them is sulforaphane. All right, I love that word. I love saying sulforaphane for some reason. All right. But you don't find that compound in very many dark leafy green vegetables. It's not going to be in kale. It's not going to be in spinach and things like that. All right, it's a sulfur compound, and sulforaphane, very potent. All right, and it's very good for a number of things: anti-inflammatory, antioxidant. Great, similar to garlic, and we'll get to that. All right. So what they found was sulforaphane actually helped. It actually helped reduce the risk of developing rheumatoid arthritis. Again, does that mean by eating broccoli and getting the compound sulforaphane mean you won't develop arthritis? No, it doesn't mean that, but it means that you're decreasing the risk factors of developing arthritis and rheumatoid arthritis. Okay, so sulforaphane, amazing. All right, when it has to do with arthritis. So that's why I love broccoli so much. All right, and it's hard to get these sulfur compounds in our diet. So broccoli is a great way of doing it. All right, because we can have like a cup of broccoli. You can lightly steam it. So it's an easy way to get quite a bit of those sulfur compounds, sulforaphane in there. All right. So I love broccoli when it comes to arthritis, reducing inflammation. All right. The sulforaphane has very, very potent anti-inflammatory properties. It gives you those antioxidant properties, so it's going to give you the ability to help fight off those free radicals, which we don't like because they're only going to create more inflammation in the body, reduce oxidative stress, all those things that we don't want, all the things that are going to make arthritis symptoms worse. So at the acute phase, but also over time, say we're dealing with chronic inflammation over 20, 30 years, that's increasing your risk of developing arthritis. Okay, so that's why it's such an important one. I love broccoli. Like I said, for me, it sits on the throne of dark leafy green vegetables. And again, like I said, I just had probably over a cup of broccoli, raw broccoli, before I came out here. So broccoli, one of the best ones. So far, we've gotten fatty fish, we've got walnuts, we have broccoli. All right, what are some of the other best ones? All right, one of the other best ones, and again, it drives me kind of crazy, guys, because people will put in an umbrella berries. All right, but what is the best berry that you can have? If someone wants to mention it, try to take a guess what the best berry is for arthritis in chat, I think that would be great because I would love to hear it. But people will throw berries in there, just like almost like every berry is good for arthritis, but they're all not created equal. All right, I'm going to give you two because there's two really special ones when it comes to arthritis. Maybe three. I'll give you three, and these are probably the best three that I would put up there. But some people will include cranberries, elderberries, huckleberries. There's just so many of them. All right, not all of them are going to be the best foods for arthritis, but I will give you three because I've seen 3 studies on these types of berries, and all of them were just great. Sorry, I'm just going to catch up with Angie's post here. At times at work, I need to work. I'm super stiff, not in pain. Am I just old? I don't know how old you are, Angie. I don't think it's uncommon for someone who is working on the floor. So say you're standing for a long period of time. I don't think it's uncommon for someone to feel stiff after that. I think just not moving around can create stiffness. Like if I'm sitting where I'm sitting right now, trust me, we usually go for almost 2 hours. I'm stiff just from sitting here. And I certainly wouldn't classify myself as old. So I don't think that's uncommon. So if you're working and need to work from the floor, especially from the floor. So now that I'm reading that, you're probably going to have a little bit of stiffness. So I don't think you need to be too worried about that, Angie. If you do think that, if it does eventually create over certain pains and things like that, then maybe you might want to talk to your medical practitioner. But I know if I'm working from the floor for a long period of time, then I'm definitely going to be stiff. Like I said, if I'm sitting in a chair for a long period of time, I'm feeling stiff. All right, Patricia with blueberries. Nice, Patricia. You guessed it. Good for you. Awesome job. Chard is good, Sprinchy, but I wouldn't classify it in terms of being one of the best foods for arthritis. Swiss chard is great just for overall health. For arthritis, it's not gonna hurt. It's definitely not gonna hurt, but it's not gonna be one of the best foods to help prevent arthritis. But it's a great food overall. So if you're eating Swiss chard, then congrats to you, because you're eating one of the healthiest foods out there. I mean, very nutrient dense, tons of antioxidants, tons of anti-inflammatories. So I would definitely put it up there. And we're at 19 thumbs up, guys. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Now let's get back to Patricia's answer. Patricia, congratulations. You nailed it. Blueberries. All right, blueberries. So blueberries are probably one of your best, if not the best, at least for berries. I would say that they're the best foods for arthritis when it comes to helping prevent arthritis. All right, why? because they're loaded and they have some of the highest antioxidant capacity out of any other food, not just berries. Now, when it also comes to blueberries, not only are they packed with antioxidants, and remember, blueberries have a special antioxidant known as anthocyanins and also quercetin, all right, which are you don't find them too often in a lot of foods. Anthocyanins for sure. All right, anthocyanins are what give fruits and other maybe vegetables that bluish purple color. So think beets, think eggplant. All right, blueberries, unlike other types of berries, are going to have anthocyanin antioxidants. Now, why is that important? They're very potent antioxidants, and same with all the other antioxidants that are found in blueberries, like quercetin. I believe it also has one called rutin, which you don't find in a lot of other foods. They're plant-based compounds, so very, very, very potent. They're going to help reduce and decrease inflammation. And remember, inflammation is one of those is going to be one of the things that are going to increase the risk factors for developing arthritis. And also, if you have a lot of inflammation in the body, say, again, if you're dealing with arthritis or just in general, it's going to make arthritis symptoms worse. All right. So the more inflammation we have in the body, the worse the symptoms of arthritis, the worse the arthritis symptoms are going to be. So I'd say blueberries. Patricia nailed it. Congratulations, Patricia. Awesome job. All right. And we've seen, there's been tons of studies, especially on blueberries, that show just how really impressive, I would say, that they can be for decreasing inflammation, but even decreasing symptoms of arthritis. Because once you decrease that inflammation, all right, swelling can go down, stiffness and pain can start to go away, all right? And again, over time, if we're eating blueberries consistently over time, over the years, then we know that we are decreasing our risk. Again, it's the risk of developing arthritis. Just because we're eating blueberries consistently, I'm not saying that, 100% you're not going to get arthritis, but the important thing is you're decreasing the risk of developing arthritis. And that's the point. That's the thing that we want to shoot for. So awesome, Patricia. Oh, Angie, you're young. They're young. You got a whole life ahead of you. Trust me. I have clients much, much older, and they're crushing it out there. So no worries, especially working from the floor. You're welcome, Patricia. Now let's see if someone can guess one of the two other ones, because we know blueberries are amazing. Blueberries are one of the best foods for arthritis. Why? Because they're very nutrient dense, so they have a ton of micronutrients, even more, tons of antioxidants, one of the highest antioxidant capacities out of any other foods. Take berries, take vegetables, doesn't matter. One of the highest antioxidant capacity foods. All right, again, we see studies where they have anthocyanins, which are going to be great for decreasing inflammation. All right, and when we see that, all right, a decrease in inflammation, it's going to decrease the symptoms related to arthritis. So decreasing pain, decreasing stiffness, decreasing swelling, all those types of symptoms that we don't want. So it can help acute, but even better, it can help with reducing the risk of chronic inflammation. And when we do that, we decrease our risk of developing arthritis down the road, into our 50s, into our 60s, things of that nature. Kale's not a bad one, Angie. Kale's definitely the very, very healthy one. Can anyone though think of two more berries, guys? Try to think of two berries. So we have blueberries. What would be two other berries that you think that have been well studied that can help with arthritis? These are two berries that I tend to talk about quite a bit, and they're actually becoming, well, one was already my favorite, but the second one is becoming one of my favorite berries overall, to be honest with you, after reading a bunch of research papers done on them and their health promoting abilities. But I just recently found out that they're very good for reducing arthritis symptoms as well. but not also reducing the symptoms, but even reducing the risk factors of developing arthritis, which is amazing. I'll give you guys a couple seconds to think of that as I drink my coffee. Ooh, Angie, that's a good guess. Raspberries are definitely up there. They'd probably be number like 4 or 5. Raspberries are a great guess, one of the highest antioxidant capacities out of any berries. But there's two other specific. I'll give you guys 10 more seconds as I just take a quick drink of coffee here. And you nailed it. Good job, guys. See, it just took you 10 seconds. So it came back strong, Angie. Strawberries. Yes, strawberries is the good one. Hey, Deborah. Good to see you. Thank you so much. Awesome to see you. Thank you so much for coming in. But you just nailed it, Patricia, and you just nailed it, Angie. Blackberries and strawberries, guys, when it comes to reducing arthritis. So Deborah, right now we're on the best foods for reducing arthritis. We went over blueberries. You guys know how I don't like to keep a huge umbrella, because a lot of people will just say eat berries and then that will reduce your risk for arthritis. But there's 3 main ones. Raspberries was a great guess, Angie. That's probably like your 4th or 5th one, and it's definitely not going to hurt. So if you do have raspberries, that can help. But blackberries and strawberries along with blueberries, those are the ones that we see in studies come up from time to time. Why? Because again, highest in antioxidants. All right, and very, very similar to the benefits of blueberries. Maybe not to the degree of blueberries, but also, having those unique antioxidants. Blackberries, I believe, do have anthocyanins. Strawberries don't, but they have other potent antioxidants not found in a lot of other berries. And raspberries wouldn't have anthocyanins as well. Just because strawberries are pink. They're not that bluish purple. Oh, strawberry juice. I haven't had juice in forever. I'll be honest. Are you drinking keto coffee? I've never actually heard of keto coffee. I'm drinking black coffee right now. But never heard of keto coffee. What's keto coffee, Patricia? Maybe you can explain that. And Deborah, I hope you're having a great day. And I hope you've heard my shout outs, Deborah, in a couple of the streams for your support. Again, this is, I think, the first time I've been able to say thank you again face to face. So thank you very much, Deborah. Really appreciate your support of the channel. So thank you very much. But yeah, I've never heard of keto coffee. I've heard of tons of different coffees over the years, like people adding butter to their coffee. I forget exactly what that was called, but yeah, there's always these food kind of fads that come and go. I'm not saying keto coffee is one of them. I'm kind of actually interested in what keto coffee is, but maybe you can help me understand it a little bit, Patricia. I would actually like to know. So those are the ones, guys. Blueberries probably top of the list. All right, strawberries very, very strong as well. All right, can really reduce, especially elevated inflammation. So there's inflammatory markers that people study in the blood. That's how they can tell if you have high inflammation. All right, it's kind of an interesting thing. I mean, I was thinking this. People might think, well, how do we know we have a lot of inflammation? What they do is they look and test the blood for these inflammatory markers. I would try to name them off to you, but it would be the name is super long, followed by a bunch of letters after that. So I would never be able to remember them off the top of my head. But strawberry is very good for reducing inflammatory markers in the blood. Same thing with blackberries also. All 3 of them very high in arthritis fighting nutrients as well, which makes them just tremendous. All right, now let's think of another one. All right, someone mentioned that they were craving so Angie, you mentioned that you were craving strawberry juice. Oh, thank you, Angie. I'm glad that you love the channel. I'm glad that you're taking some good information. Thank you for the comment. I appreciate it. I love doing these too. I really love doing these. So thank you very much for the nice comment. But you had mentioned that you were craving strawberry juice. Well, one nice one for reducing. Great day indeed. Yes, Deborah. I'm glad that you're having a great day. Me as well. One nice one that we've seen and is growing in popularity with decreasing the risk of developing arthritis. I wouldn't put this at the top of my list, but since you mentioned strawberry juice, tart cherry juice is one that's being shown to have benefits when it comes to helping reduce the symptoms of arthritis. And not only the symptoms, but also the risk factors of developing arthritis. I think overall, tart cherry juice, and I've mentioned this in a video before, is gaining more and more popularity. More and more popularity over the years. We just have to make sure that it's unsweetened because, again, we talked about the worst foods for arthritis is going to be added sugar. So we don't want any added sugar into the cherry juice. So tart is the best, right? But we also found, right, when we're drinking tart cherry juice, and a lot of people drink it at nighttime, can help with sleep as well, guys. So that's kind of another tidbit for you. See, it's funny, from doing all these videos, I can just sort of remember and recall, after talking about them for a little bit, the benefits that I list off, even after doing thousands of videos. But a lot of people will have tart cherry juice, I don't know why I'm having trouble saying that, tart cherry juice before bed because it can help with promoting sleep, all right? But coming back to our arthritis discussion, all right, they found that in a study, and again, hundreds of people in this study, all right, tart cherry juice can significantly, and I always use significantly, all right, very seldomly. I'll only say significantly if it has a large percentage of actually, like in this case, reducing inflammation. So tart cherry juice can significantly reduce inflammation. You guys probably haven't heard me say that very much. Blueberries do have that ability. Blueberries can significantly reduce inflammation, but even more so, tart cherry juice can. And remember, if we want to reduce arthritis and arthritis symptoms, we need to get rid of inflammation. And the best thing about tart cherry juice is we found in a study that not only can it help reduce the risk factors over the years, so again, if you're dealing with chronic inflammation throughout the years, it's just going to be, increasing the risk of developing arthritis, but they found within a few weeks, not only did it decrease the risk of arthritis and its symptoms, but it also decreased the risk of osteoarthritis. So that's an interesting one because that's one we haven't mentioned yet. We've mentioned arthritis, we've mentioned rheumatoid arthritis, but with tart cherry juice, all right, they found that it helped decrease osteoarthritis, and that was in like less than a month if you were drinking it regularly. And again, maybe the best time to drink it is before bed. But if you're drinking tart cherry juice regularly, again, in moderation, so just like 6 ounces, 4 to 6 ounces is just fine. You're going to also reduce osteoarthritis risk factors, which is just great. Again, make sure it's only going to be arthritis, and I'll catch up to these comments right after. Sorry, guys. You guys know how I get on rants sometimes. But it's only going to have the arthritis fighting abilities if it's unsweetened. That's why I can't say it enough. Get unsweetened tart cherry juice, because if it has the sugar in it and the preservatives and all that other stuff, processed stuff in it, all of the benefits that I just mentioned go away. All right, the sugar will just override them. So make sure it's unsweetened tart cherry juice, and then you're good to go. Now let me catch up on these. And thank you so much for the thumbs up, guys. 21. We are officially 9 away from our goal. So thank you so much. Pineapple. Pineapple's... I haven't read too much on pineapple with arthritis. Obviously, it's great for digestion and everything like that. Just haven't read too much on its arthritis fighting abilities. I don't know, just off the top of my head, I don't know if I would put it at the top or as one of the best foods, just because it can be a little bit high in fructose and glucose, which, remember, combined, fructose is our fruit sugar, glucose is our natural sugar, both monosaccharides, but combined they create sucralose, which again is very similar, or is just regular processed sugar. So you do have to be a little bit careful with pineapple. But of course, you're going to have other benefits with pineapple as well. It has those amazing digestive enzymes, bromelain, tons of micronutrients. All right, let me read this. Keto coffee. Keto coffee contains Colombian instant coffee. I like that. MCT. Okay. See, real butter. Yeah, real butter is one of the butter in coffee has been one of those ones that I was telling you about that I've heard. MCT oil too. So what the ones that I was thinking, I forget what the name is called. Oh, it's going to be on the tip of my tongue, but I just can't remember it. They would use butter and like real butter, like what you're saying, like the full fat butter, not margarine, none of that stuff, and MCT oil into the coffee as well. Stevia leaf extract. 360 Nutrition. No, I never actually heard of that one before, Patricia. I've heard of adding a lot of those ingredients into coffee, but I've never heard of that, and I never actually even knew that was keto coffee. I think I've heard it as like bullet coffee or something along those lines, but yeah, definitely with the butter and MCT oil. Kind of interesting with the pink Himalayan salts just because of the minerals that are found in it. And then you have the stevia, which just is a natural sweetener. So it makes sense that's keto 100%, just because it's all fat that's being added into there, which is, again, is not a bad thing. That's if you're on keto, it's got to be all fat. It's a protein and fat diet, so I'm sure it's very filling. Let me just say that. I'm sure it's very filling. I'm a simple coffee drinker. I'll have black coffee or a little bit of milk into it, and I like it super hot. I was going to say, that's so funny, Angie. I was going to say have 100%. I didn't want to throw that out there because sometimes that can turn people off from it, as it is very tart, but 100% pure tart cherry juice is kind of the way to go, to be honest, especially dealing with arthritis. Jazzy, thank you for coming in. Goji berries, yeah, absolutely. You know, I haven't read exactly too much on goji berries and arthritis, but I do know that just from the things that I know about goji berries, they would have a lot of arthritis type benefits just with their ability to reduce inflammation, things of that nature. They're super high levels of micronutrients, anti-inflammatories, like I said, antioxidants, big time antioxidants in goji berries. I love goji berries, just a little expensive for me. And you got to just make sure you're eating them in moderation. But goji berries are amazing. Good for recovery, especially for myself working out. Good, very good for recovery. I like them for recovery. But if I have them, I'll have like a tablespoon of goji berries, just because they are a little bit expensive. But, you know, healthy food, sometimes, you know, you got to splurge just a little bit. If you're not buying that pizza, you know, spend it towards some goji berries. So excellent. That's awesome. I'm glad you got the 100%, Angie. I was going to mention it, but again, I don't always want to turn people off from certain healthy foods, because it does take a little bit of getting used to it. What I would recommend, and this is why I said have like 4 ounces of it, 4 to 6. The study, I think one study, it wasn't all of the studies, but one study had mentioned drinking 2 glasses of 8 ounce. So 2 glasses of 8 ounces of tart cherry juice. I don't think you need that. I think if you're drinking it regularly on a day-by-day basis, I think you're fine. I think that's more than enough. One thing you might want to do if it's 100% as well, guys, have like the 4 to 6, probably like your 6 ounces, and maybe water it down just a little bit. Add some ice cubes maybe into it. You know, water it down, and then you should be good to go. But yeah, goji berries are a nice one, Jazzy. Thanks for adding that in. All right, now let's go to maybe one of my favorite ones as well, or two of my favorites. All right, so another good one, guys, is garlic. Excuse me. And remember, I have some garlic videos, quite a few garlic videos. One of the more popular one is garlic and honey. So if you're not a huge fan, and a lot of people aren't, of drinking like garlic juice and things like that, you can always add it into a number of different recipes. All right. Garlic juice, if you do have garlic juice, remember, you don't have to have a lot. All right. A lot of people, when they think garlic juice, they think of like a full glass of garlic juice. All right. If you're going to drink something like garlic juice, you can literally squeeze one clove in there, add like a teaspoon of honey, and just drink that down. Or chop up half a clove, put it onto a spoon, have a teaspoon of honey, and then just eat it, of raw organic honey, by the way, not pasteurized or any of that other stuff with all the preservatives, and have it like that. But you can eat garlic in a number of different recipes. Those are just two easy ways that I've done it before in the past. And I find it very, very easy to eat. Maybe I'm just lucky. I don't know. Like a lot of people I know don't eat broccoli all the time, but I can eat it. I can eat it too. I just beat you, Angie. Yeah, you probably already know since you've been buying it. You've probably been watering it down already. Yeah. So with garlic's a tremendous one, guys, when it comes to arthritis. Garlic is one of those. It's literally a true superfood. Remember, my superfoods list differs from a lot of other people's, all right? For me, it takes a lot to get a food on a superfood list. So you see, sometimes you'll search like superfoods, and I only laugh to myself when it's like the 72 best superfoods or 72 or 55 superfoods to add to your diet. Guys, if there's 55 superfoods, we just diluted the list of superfoods to a point where it doesn't even make sense anymore. A lot of them aren't even superfoods. We're just throwing them in and calling them superfoods. It gets clicks, but when it comes to superfoods, there's some rare ones out there, and garlic would be one of the rare ones. Garlic just has a tremendous amount of health promoting abilities. If we're not even talking, we'll get into arthritis, but if we're not even talking about arthritis, I mean, it has allicin in it. It has those sulfur compounds in it, like we talked a little bit about broccoli. All right, it has tons of micronutrients. It has, I usually don't get into it too much, but cancer-fighting properties. Again, I don't like to get into the cancer topic just because I'm not coming at this from a medical point of view. But compounds that can reduce the risk of heart disease. It's one of the healthiest heart foods that you can have. And also they're finding that with cognitive function, studies are showing that it can reduce cognitive ailments such as dementia, such as Alzheimer's disease and things like that. But let's get into its arthritis abilities. The great thing about garlic and arthritis is its super anti-inflammatory abilities. It's like a super anti-inflammatory. Tremendous anti-inflammatory effects, which are going to decrease symptoms of arthritis. And that's probably the best thing really that we can ask for. If there's anyone in chat right now on this live that's dealing with arthritis symptoms, how those arthritis symptoms can hamper or hold you back in life. Like your quality of life suffers because of these arthritis symptoms. Trust me, I've had family members, I've had some clients that deal with it. It's not fun. And that's why I want to have this discussion to help prevent, all right, and help relieve some of these symptoms. Because if you're dealing with pain on a consistent basis, stiffness where, you can't even hold things, swelling, like major swelling, guys. Think of like the joints and then major swelling in the hands, things of that nature. It's just not something that we want. All right, so garlic is one of the best anti-inflammatories out there, and it's one of the best foods out there to decrease the symptoms of arthritis. And one of the reasons why, remember, we want autoimmune diseases like arthritis. Garlic has been shown to help strengthen the immune system tremendously. by promoting the function of certain immune cells. All right, so that's a huge one. We haven't talked about that yet. So great. That's why a lot of people will have garlic for like colds, flus, things like that. So it can it's a superfood in the sense that it has those medicinal properties as well. Strengthen the immune system naturally. All right, now here's another one. Let's go back to the arthritis. There's a nice study, again, thousands of people in it. That's why I love these arthritis studies. It's not just one or two or like 18 people in it. All right, this one literally had almost 1,100 people in the study. All right, so what they found was they already knew, we already know garlic has super strong anti-inflammatory properties. But what they found from the study, because of these super strong anti-inflammatory properties and its medicinal benefits, that garlic helped to reduce arthritis, and it helped to reduce the risk factors of developing arthritis, but also helped to reduce the risk of developing osteoarthritis. So again, we have the osteoarthritis, all right, which is just tremendous. So not only are we getting these inflammation fighting abilities, all right, and antioxidants and bioactive compounds and medicinal properties and boosting our immune system, which can help reduce autoimmune diseases such as arthritis, all right, we're getting a ton of micronutrients, all right, and decreasing the risk of arthritis and different types of arthritis. Remember I told you guys that there was multiple different arthritises out there, all right, or arthritis diseases, type diseases like osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, things of that nature. So adding garlic, I think, is one of your best bets, all right, if we're trying to reduce symptoms of arthritis in the short term, so acute symptoms, but also chronic down the road, all right, because it's going to happen down the road. The more and more that it happens, the more and more inflammation that we have, the lower our micronutrient intake. All right, we're missing all these bioactive compounds. All right, we're missing all of these chronic disease lowering risk factors. If you're not having those, then you can potentially increase the risk of developing arthritis. And we're just missing that out just because we're not eating garlic. But so many people, let me catch up to some of these chats here. Oh, you drank garlic juice before, Angie? Yeah, it can definitely be an eye-opener. That emoji says it all. Deborah, my clients deal with arthritis daily. Yes, absolutely. Man, like I said, I have a couple clients that do as well, and it's not fun. And, a lot of it can be just from diet as well. Just changing the diet around. Again, we see a lot of people don't think about the short term. They think, well, I have it. Now I have to deal with it. All right, I'm going to try to deal with it as best as I can and maybe try to limit it. But we've seen from the studies, all of these foods, guys, that I've pointed out, and a lot of the foods that were saying that was the worst for arthritis, we see that it not only will help in the long term, but it helps in the short term as well. Like I think with tart cherry juice, with broccoli and things like that, people were seeing a decrease in symptoms of arthritis in inflammatory markers through the blood within 3 weeks. So if you're eating these foods, within weeks, you can literally be changing your outcome and the symptoms of arthritis. So don't think that just because I have it or I'm dealing with symptoms now that you're stuck with it. Again, I'm not a medical practitioner. I'm just relaying what I've read in the studies. We don't have to put up with that. You can change the diet, all right, and help relieve some of those symptoms. You don't have to just suffer with it and, throw your hands up and be like, okay, well, now I have arthritis. Let me just try to get through it and deal with the pain and take other medications and stuff like that. These foods can help, all right? Studies have shown that they can help. All right, you might have to go on the medication. That's why you got to talk to your medical practitioner. But you can use some of these foods to help as well. John Howard, hello, I would like a list of food to control arthritis, please and thank you. All right, well, it might take me a little bit of time to write that down. We've gone through quite a bit. Did you just get here, John? If you did, I would rewatch the, I've gone through so many that typing them all out would just take up too much time and take up too much of everyone else who's in here's time, even though I want to give them to you. Maybe the best thing for you to do is just rewatch it, and then you can go through it that way. But some of the ones that we mentioned were garlic, were fatty fish, things high in omega-3 fatty acids, broccoli, walnuts, blueberries, strawberries, blackberries. Off the top of my head, what else did we say? Tart cherry juice, things like that. So there's some of the ones that we went over, John. So hopefully that helps. Hopefully you heard some of those ones. All right, the things to avoid, sugar, salt, highly processed foods, alcohol, things of that nature. Also, speaking on that topic, guys, make sure that you're staying well hydrated. All right, keep that water intake at a good level. All right. So were you able to hear those ones, John, that I just went over? If you just got here. So again, we'll do that. Yep, you can do that, or even the ones that I just mentioned. You can go to 90 minutes into the stream, and I just mentioned a couple ones that we talked about here for you. No problem. Again, broccoli, garlic, salmon, sardines, mackerel, walnuts, blueberries, strawberries, blackberries, tart cherry juice. Those are the ones that you're going to want to be eating. So hopefully that helps a little bit. That's great. Hey, no problem. My pleasure, John. Thank you for popping into the chat. Now let's talk about another one here, guys. So garlic, I always like kind of combining these two. They remind me of each other. I don't know why. But another good one for arthritis is ginger. Another great one is ginger. So we have garlic and ginger. For some reason, those just always seem to go together for me. And we're at 25 likes. Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate it. We are literally 5 away from that 30. The 30 thumbs up. So perfect. So ginger's another nice one, guys. Ginger, and the good thing about ginger is it's so versatile. You can add it. I like adding it to tea. I even like adding it to smoothies. It kind of gives it a nice little spice to that type of stuff, like teas, smoothies, things like that. People will add it to stir fries or soups maybe. I've never done that, but it's super easy to add to the diet. And we already know that ginger, through studies, can help to ease symptoms of arthritis, which again is just tremendous. One of the best foods. Ginger is one of the best foods for arthritis. Again, in the short term and in the long term. That's why I want you guys to take away that, if you're dealing with arthritis type symptoms, again, you don't have to just put up with it and then throw your hands up. You can make changes to your diet and then see changes in the symptoms over the course of a few weeks. Let me give you another example. All right, there was a study done using hundreds of participants who were actually dealing with arthritis type symptoms, and then they added ginger. It might have been ginger extract, but I think it was just ginger, straight ginger. All right, they started supplementing. All right, and remember, you have to have it pretty much every day. I'd have it at least 5, 6, 7 times a day. You don't need a lot. You can just add it into your tea. You can add a little bit into a smoothie, different recipes. All right? It's not super hard to add to the diet. And again, in moderation. You don't have to have huge chunks of it or huge amounts of it. Just a little bit here, a little bit there. Even ginger tea, that's a great way of getting it. But listen to this. All right? It reduced, all right, by having it, all right, it reduced, all right, symptoms of arthritis and especially osteoarthritis, all right, within 6 weeks and a significant amount. So a huge proportion of the people who were in that study saw a decrease in symptoms of osteoarthritis, symptoms in arthritis altogether, pain, stiffness, everything like that. And again, that's why I'm saying that's just 6 weeks. So 6 weeks, you add a couple of these other foods. Think of how much of a difference if you add just a couple of these foods into your diet. Again, you don't have to add all of them, but maybe like 2 2, 3, 4 of them. Maybe not right off the bat. Add maybe 1 per week, something like that. But imagine in 2 months down the road, the potential it can have on arthritis symptoms. And imagine if you're eating them over the long term, the potential it can have on reducing the risk of developing arthritis. All right. And the other nice thing is that ginger, again, very anti-inflammatory. All right. One of the best anti-inflammatory foods out there. It contains a bioactive compound known as gingerol. I talk about that in my videos sometimes. And again, one of the best bioactive compounds out there. So huge decrease in inflammation, which is great because that's going to help relieve those arthritis type symptoms. And again, just make sure that you're eating it fairly regularly. All right, fairly regularly with the ginger. And again, the nice thing with ginger is, and we're even finding with studies, the things like free radicals, oxidative stress, even cortisol, so the stress hormone, the types of foods that we eat. All right, there was a test that found that when we eat ginger on a regular basis, it actually helps to block and reduce the production of certain compounds and substances that promote inflammation in the body. So increase the markers of inflammation in the body. All right, we haven't said that about any of the other ones yet. So ginger has that special ability. So that's just tremendous, a tremendous benefit of ginger and why I like it so much. And again, it doesn't take long to see the benefits of reducing osteoarthritis, reducing arthritis symptoms, pain, stiffness, swelling, all of those different symptoms of arthritis. Again, one study which had hundreds of participants saw a huge improvement in pain within weeks. All right, weeks of just adding ginger to their diet. So again, that's just a tremendous benefit of ginger and why I like ginger so much and think ginger is just a tremendous one. Now, again, guys, another important thing that we have to remember, just like with anything, we said this for detoxing the body, but even for arthritis, are you big? Turmeric, Angie, is actually not a bad one at all. I would put it up there as one of the best. It's probably the best spice that you can have for arthritis. The reason for that is just its anti-inflammatory abilities with like curcumin, right? Its anti-inflammatory abilities are just off the chart. So it's one of the most studied foods out there. There's been hundreds, if not thousands, of studies on turmeric, and we do know that it can have potential benefits for arthritis. I would probably put it. I might not have it on this list, but I would definitely put it on a list of some of the best foods that you can have. Probably the best spice, like I said, that you could have in your diet to help control, to help reduce and relieve symptoms of arthritis, and to reduce developing arthritis. I'm a huge fan of turmeric. Have it almost every day. It's like either a turmeric tea or 2 glasses of turmeric tea or a little bit of turmeric in my smoothie. And I'll have that anytime, any smoothie that I have. It could be in the morning, could be at nighttime, anytime. All right, so turmeric is definitely out there. Big fan of garlic, John? That's excellent. So garlic has tremendous benefits. And I think we're still at 25 thumbs up. We're getting there, guys. We're almost at that 30. Almost at that 30. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Funny, when the pain stops, we go back to eating the bad food. Bad food that causes inflammation and the cycle never ends. That's right, B1. Sometimes, that can happen. Maybe not for everyone, but I have seen that happen a tremendous amount of times. It's the same with like weight loss. It's very similar. So, we stop the pain and then we think we have the pain under control. And then we kind of go back to those old habits. So like what you're saying, eating bad food that causes inflammation. We'll sort of let ourselves slide. And then it kind of restarts the cycle all over again. That's why I'm saying, add 1, 2, maybe 3 or 4 over the course of a few weeks. And then try to keep that diet as tight as you can. All right, try to reduce those foods that we said were the worst for our arthritis, and try to eat as many of the best foods for arthritis that you can. All right, and if you can do that, all right, you can stop that cycle. And that cycle is it's similar to almost anything, any chronic disease, weight gain, any of those types of things. But, I do agree with you, because through my experience, you do see that type of stuff. And I can say with a bunch of different, it doesn't have to just be with inflammation or that type of stuff. It can be with even arthritis. So even a cause like the inflammation, a cause of arthritis, and one of the one of the major causes, to be honest, inflammation. All right, even arthritis. People see a little decrease in arthritis symptoms, and then they kind of let it slide. They go back to eating some of the foods that maybe are making it a little bit worse, and then they're having to start over again. They're dealing with that pain. So if we can just add a couple of these foods, keep them in our diet, reduce those bad foods that we want to make sure that are some of the worst ones that we can have, which we've talked at length about, then we can maybe stop that cycle. Now, one of the major things that you guys are going to want to do, we only mentioned it briefly, but one of the most important things that you can do is make sure you're staying hydrated. All right, stay hydrated. All right. Make sure you're drinking enough water. Why? Because then you're getting rid of toxins in the body. Because those toxins, pollutants, you can call them whatever you want. All right, toxins, waste, pollutants. There's another interesting one. I can't remember off the top of my head. I won't be able to remember it. But you're getting rid of that through urination, all of that type of stuff. So make sure that you're well hydrated. All right, drinking lots of water and adding these foods to your diet. And I think if you're doing that, you're going to be doing a great job. All right, you're going to be doing a great job with not only limiting arthritis symptoms, but also making sure you're getting rid of, causes of arthritis. All right, which again is very important, especially if you're dealing with them. All right, and you're not having to deal with the cycle. Now let's go over another one here. All right, and again, we're at 100 minutes here, guys. So we've hit the 100-minute mark of the chat. We've been going strong. I feel like I'm just getting into a groove now. 101 minutes, actually. Jesus, we're at 26 thumbs up. Thank you so much, guys. If you guys have been enjoying the chat, if you've been, in learning a little bit, all right, I'm very happy to hear that. I love the engagement. All right, if you are enjoying the chat, then again, if you want to support, thumbs up, always appreciated. All right, and again, the only other way is through the super chat function. All right, and that's why I give a big shout out to Deborah. Thank you again, Deborah. But again, we'll never have a membership or a thing that you have to join to get into these streams, which a lot of channels have. I just don't think that's right for the channel. I want as many people in here as possible, learning as much as possible. All right, no PO box. No, definitely no PO box. All right, not that that's a bad thing. I just would never expect anyone to go through that. But if you've been learning something and you want to go through one of the channels, the best thing, and support the channel, the super chat function is the best way to do that. And we'll leave it there. So we're at 102 minutes, man. And we've been doing these. I think this is probably, you guys already know almost the daily videos here. All right. But we've been having these chats for, almost 5 months now. It's hard to believe. Time flies. Time really does fly when you're having fun. So let's go into another one. I'll leave it there, guys. Thank you for the support. Support is greatly appreciated. Again, YouTube is not my job. It's funny. I'll get messages and asking me about how to start a YouTube career. Yeah, they're asking the wrong person, because this is certainly not my career. This is a passion project. So again, we'll leave it there. But another important one, guys, we talked a little bit about the ones that we want to stay away from, our vegetable oils and everything like that. One of the good ones that we'll want to keep is olive oil. So olive oil is known. Why is it helpful for arthritis? Olive oil, probably the best oil that you can have, other than like fish oil and things of that nature. Olive oil is a nice one because it's super anti-inflammatory and it has a ton of antioxidants in it. All right, it's I think very well known and very well studied for its anti-inflammatory properties. All right. Now, there's an interesting study that actually came out with, and again, it's try to get extra virgin olive oil, guys. Not just any type of olive oil, extra virgin olive oil. That's going to have the most antioxidants. It's going to have the most anti-inflammatory properties. All right, but there was an interesting study, all right, which showed that olive oil can help not only reduce we'll get into the symptoms, but it can help to stop the development of arthritis. So developing arthritis over time, it can help to reduce joint swelling, all right, and it can also decrease inflammation. And not only that, but, and this is important for arthritis too, all right, we want our cartilage to be strong, all right, so it can also, this is the first one that we're mentioning for this also, guys, it can slow down, all right, the, I guess sort of, I'd say the breakdown of cartilage in the body, which is absolutely amazing. And they saw that these benefits were, again, not happening over the course of months and months or years and years, but within 6 weeks. So again, another 6-week study where we're seeing these tremendous benefits. All right. So again, you can consume fish oil. You can have the fatty fish if you're a fan of that. Maybe on one of the days off, if you're just not feeling it, add olive oil to it. All right. Because olive oil, all right, it has all of those nice abilities to not only reduce symptoms of arthritis, but developing arthritis overall. Sorry, as I take a quick drink here. But it can also kind of give you those benefits of reducing arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, and I even think osteoarthritis as well, which is amazing. Tremendous. It's tremendous. And the antioxidants and anti-inflammatories play a huge role in that. Remember, there's not a ton of micronutrients in olive oil. All right, it's mostly well known for its anti-inflammatories and for its antioxidants. It's got a little bit of vitamin E, I believe, but that's pretty much the micronutrients that it's got. All right, now another nice thing about olive oil consumption, we see that in the long term, we're talking acute here when we talk about 6 weeks, but in the long term, when compared with other healthy fats, all right, it's not only going to benefit, like we talked about some of the other superfoods, like benefit heart health, but it also has the ability to reduce arthritis symptoms over the long run. All right, so maybe if we're thinking, at a younger age, and then as we start to get older, if we've been, having olive oil consistently, it can help to decrease the risk of developing arthritis as we get older. And again, that's thanks to its anti-inflammatory properties, antioxidants, and all those other antioxidant reducing arthritis symptoms. It just, again, has some of the highest and most potent anti-inflammatory properties out of any oil, for sure. So like vegetable oil, canola oil, not even close. And then almost out of any other food, really, which is, again, just amazing. So olive oil is definitely a good one there, guys. So I think we'll finish it up there. We almost got to the 30. We didn't quite get there. We were on pace. We were definitely on pace for the 30 thumbs up. We ended up at 26. Again, we've been going for an hour and 40 minutes. So I appreciate those 20. First of all, I appreciate all of you guys coming in and listening and contributing to the live. I really appreciate it, guys. I hope you learned something. I learned a couple nice things today. I learned what keto coffee was, all right, which is tremendous. I might have learned one or two other things I can't remember off the top of my head. But I certainly learned some things from you guys. All right. Keto coffee might be something I look into. I hope you guys learned a lot, and took a lot away from, what are some of the best foods for arthritis? What are some of the worst foods for arthritis? Because I think this is a really, really important topic. I honestly do. Just like I thought the heart health topic was really important, I think this arthritis topic, like Deborah says up there, she's dealing with clients on a daily basis who are dealing with arthritis or arthritis symptoms. Same thing with me, dealing with clients, doing consultations. It might not be arthritis diagnosis, but symptoms of arthritis. Joint pain, stiffness, joint swelling, things that are just not fun to deal with. All right. So, and again, we're starting to see people having to deal with like osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, arthritis in general at a younger and younger age. And a lot of it has to do with diet. A lot of it has to do with our lifestyle. Remember, I don't call exercise exercise sometimes can get a bad name. I just call it movement. Go for a walk, have a hike, go for a hike, do something where you're just getting some movement. That's going to help tremendously too with circulation in the body and all that good stuff. So just remember, stay away from some of those foods that we talked about, guys. Keep eating as healthy as you can. As long as we're eating healthy foods, we're getting these arthritis symptom benefits. All right, so reducing the symptoms of arthritis, and we're going to reduce the risk factors for getting arthritis later on, just like we would for heart health or for any other chronic disease. All right, now again, we should point out, does it mean that if we eat these foods we won't get arthritis? No, we can't say that for certain, and I certainly wouldn't say that, but you do have the potential to lower the risk factors of developing arthritis. Sometimes, again, like I like to say, we just pull the wrong card, so we can still eat these foods, do the right things, but still maybe it's genetics, maybe it's something else, who knows. We could still get arthritis, but at least with these foods and staying away from these certain foods, we're giving ourselves the best chance to not get arthritis, all right, or have to deal with arthritis symptoms. So keep that in mind, guys. That's what it's all about, all right, trying to stay away from certain chronic diseases. And if we're eating these foods and staying away from these certain foods, then we're giving ourselves the best chance, because I want that for all of you, and I don't want you guys having to deal with these sort of symptoms, especially as we get older. And I know I wouldn't either. So I hope you guys took a lot out of the chat. Remember, it's a one-man team, so I appreciate you guys coming in here. That's why I love doing these chats, and I can come in here and talk about everything clearly, because I'm doing the research for it. It's been almost 8 years. There's almost 5,000 videos up on the channel now. We've done almost, probably, it's hard to say. So we're doing 2 a week, 18, probably close to maybe 25 or 30 of these live streams. So, we've been doing quite a bit. I'd say maybe like 20, 25. And again, they're not going to be going anywhere. And again, I just want to point out, all right, I appreciate all of your support, guys. Again, I'm not a full-time YouTuber, so that's just want to make sure that's well known. You'll never see me put a join function on there. Again, big shout out to Deborah for the super chat. The super chat is really the only way to give back to the channel, and then just coming in and giving me the support and engagement and the thumbs up and all that other good stuff, and continue watching the videos. So I really appreciate that, guys. I appreciate your support, and we're just going to keep going, because it's kind of interesting, because for each video, doing all the editing, doing the script, voicing it over, each video probably takes about 2-3 hours, all right, to do, because I want to make sure that I'm giving you guys the right information, all right, giving you guys the best information that's out there, all right, and then that way you guys are able to take that and run with it. And it's the same thing with these lives. I wouldn't come on here and have a almost 2-hour discussion with you guys now and not be able to talk about arthritis and arthritis foods, and why the arthritis foods are good, and why these ones are the ones that we want to stay away from. So I hope you guys can still hear me. I haven't seen a message in a while, but hopefully you guys, like I said, took something away from this. Let's end the chat here. We'll be back on, what's today? Sunday? Yeah, geez, already Sunday. So we will be back on Wednesday for another one. This stream will be going up on the channel probably at some point. So if you want to give it another listen to, maybe pick up some of the foods. I know, I think it was Angie. I think maybe was picking up some of the foods that we talked about today. And I just want to give a big thank you to everyone, and thank you for the support. I really appreciate it. And like I said, we'll think of another interesting topic for Wednesday. All right, so we almost went 2 hours today, guys. Long chat. We almost hit the goal of 30 thumbs up. You guys were crushing it. And I just appreciate you guys coming in and supporting and listening to the discussion and adding to the discussion. So you guys have a safe Sunday. I will talk to you guys Wednesday. Be on the lookout. Tomorrow's going to be an interesting video. So we'll get that up. Be on the lookout for that, guys. And thank you so much for being here. And I look forward to our next live stream. So take care, guys. Stay safe. Stay healthy. And I will talk to you live on Wednesday afternoon.